In 1844, Edgar Allan Poe published The Premature Burial, tapping into a terror that was gripping the 18th and 19th centuries. Sensationalist newspapers and horror novels were flooded with accounts of people waking up 6 feet underground. And that fear was entirely justified. Before doctors had electronic machines to monitor heart and brain activity, a deep coma or a state of catalepsy looked exactly like a corpse. Combine that medical guesswork with a cholera outbreak, and burials became incredibly rushed. Nobody wanted to hang around a potentially infectious body, so if you looked even slightly dead, they put you in the ground immediately without the usual physical checks. This inability to confidently separate the dying from the dead created a terrifying void in medical science. People needed an immediate physical failsafe. Panic reached a fever pitch when physicians like Dr. Henry Jacques Garrigues began throwing out terrifying statistics. He claimed that out of every 200 coffins put into the ground, at least one contained a person in a lethargic state who was being buried alive. In response to this mass hysteria, inventors across Europe and the United States saw a massive opportunity. They flooded the patent offices with designs for a new invention, the safety coffin. The safety coffin emerged as a serious, lucrative technological boom, marketed as a functional engineering solution for those trapped beneath 6 feet of earth. Early attempts were incredibly basic. In 1791, an English minister named Robert Robinson was buried in a custom coffin fitted with a movable glass pane. His family was instructed to visit the grave and check the glass for condensation from his breath. The glaring problem with a sealed box and a glass window is that the air supply runs out in a matter of hours. Even if his family saw breath on the glass, he would likely suffocate before they could dig him out. Subsequent inventors patched this flaw by adding surface tubes. German Duke Ferdinand installed an air pipe in his coffin, and later, Dr. Adolf Gutsmuth upgraded the tube concept even further. To prove his design worked, Gutsmuth spent several hours buried underground, using a pipe large enough that his assistants could pass down a meal of soup, sausages, and beer. While these surface pipes kept you breathing, they still required passive observation. Escaping meant you were entirely dependent on a cemetery watchman happening to walk by and notice you were alive. To solve that dependency, the industry moved toward active mechanical alarms. In 1829, Dr. Johann Gottfried Taberger debuted a system designed to alert the surface to even the slightest movement from within the grave. Taberger designed a complex surface-level bell housing with a protective cover to stop rainwater and specialized netting to prevent bugs. Below ground, strings ran directly into the coffin, tied to the occupant's hands, head, and feet. Any movement would ring the bell above. It was a detailed mechanical system that completely ignored human biology. As a corpse decomposes, gases build up, the flesh rots, and the body swells and physically shifts inside the box. That natural shifting would pull the strings. A totally dead, rotting cadaver could easily trigger the rescue bell. Even worse, it could set off an 1843 design that used a spring-loaded lid, causing a decomposing body to violently burst open its own grave. The mechanics functioned as intended, but by ignoring the reality of human decay, these systems turned quiet cemeteries into sources of constant, horrific false alarms. Some designers ditched the bells entirely and installed simple speaking tubes, allowing the supposedly dead to call out for help directly. Others created morbid testing pipes. A cemetery watchman was supposed to walk up to the grave and sniff the tube. If they inhaled the rancid stench of putrefaction, they knew the occupant was safely dead. The actual user experience for the living was a nightmare. Hearing distorted cries echoing from a fresh grave or sniffing for rotting flesh at midnight was too much. Most watchmen chose to run away terrified rather than stick around to investigate. To bypass the watchman entirely, later designs focused on self-rescue. Burial vaults at Wildwood Cemetery featured padded escape hatches, air ducts, and internal handwheels, while an 1869 design included a tube with a literal ladder for the occupant to climb out. Yet, for all these decades of patents, prototypes, and iterative designs, there is zero documented evidence of a safety coffin ever saving a single person from being buried alive. The cultural panic eventually faded, not because of better graveyard engineering, but because medical science caught up. Electronic heart monitors made it easy to definitively prove death, and the widespread practice of chemical embalming ensured that no one survived the funeral preparation. For anyone harboring a lingering phobia of waking up in a box, modern death care offered an absolute guarantee, sliding the coffin into a furnace. In the end, the terror of a premature burial wasn't defeated by bells, breathing tubes, or underground ladders. It was erased by the cold, undeniable certainty of modern medicine.